Welcome back to another episode of Stich and Company, the Stich Method podcast. The sounds that you've been listening to are not of the Grateful Dead, even though they are jams of their songs. What you've been listening to is my newly discovered, or recently discovered, band called Uncle John's Band, who I deem probably the best Grateful Dead cover band I've ever heard. When I saw them, they absolutely blew me away. And I was so caught up in their sound that I contacted their lead guitar player, Alan Gilman, who's in the role of Jerry Garcia. And what follows is an hour-long interview of me and him talking and having a lot of fun. And we talk about his origins in playing guitar, some stunning facts that blew me away about his approach on the instrument, some of his gear, his relationship to the Grateful Dead, and the history of him getting to the point where they are. They are about to celebrate their 1,000th show at Skipper's SmokeHouse in Tampa. And even though I talk about it in the podcast, I have to tell you, it's not their 1,000th show. It is their 1,000th show at Skipper's. If that gives you any idea of how tight this band is and how much experience they have had. So, if you're going to be within the area on May 31st in Tampa, an hour to an hour and a half drive, I suggest you get out there and support this band. And if you know anyone, or if you yourself ever come to Tampa in Florida, please check them out because they are well worth it. It's one of the few cover band experiences I had where I just closed my eyes and was immersed in the Grateful Dead's music. So I hope you enjoy what follows. We do talk about Jerry, we talk about some guitars, we talk about gear, mindsets, and to be honest, him and I could have talked for about another 5 hours, and we might do another podcast, but I hope you enjoy this, learning about just the origins of where he came from and where they are now, and let's see if we can get one of you guys, that's at least listening, out to their show. I'll be there. Hope you enjoy. Bye-bye.
Look at that.
It's pretty.
Ooh.
It's red.
It is. I was just watching Star Wars. I feel like I'm Darth Maul right now with the red voice. Right. All right. Well, very cool. All right. So you want to start? I'll just do it a quick
Yeah, sure. Okay. However it begins.
Yeah, however it begins. I guess we've begun. Well, welcome to this episode of Stich and Company, the Stich Method podcast. I'm really excited to have my guest, Alan Gilman, sitting right across from me. Now, some of you might not know who that is, but by the end of this, not only will you know, you'll probably want to meet him and see him. He is the lead guitar player, or the role of Jerry Garcia in Uncle John's Band, which is, I do not say this lightly, the best Grateful Dead cover band I've ever heard in my entire life. And how does that make you feel?
Oh, I'm blushing already. You can't see, I know, on audio, but
no, he is. He's as red as his shirt. So, you know, Alan, I've been thinking ever since I texted you. Well, I'll tell a story how we met, but ever since we got in contact, I was thinking, well, how is this podcast going to go down? Because I want to share with anyone who's listening my absolute amazement that I had when I saw you guys for the first time. So I guess first I'll get into the story here, which is we were supposed to go to the Dead and Company show. When was that? When it was canceled? What month was that? February?
Oh, that was December. Was
December?
It?
Yeah.
Yeah, December, I think.
December. Right. Tickets bought, everything great.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we get the wind. John Mayer has the appendectomy, and we're like, oh, okay, great. And we know that they'll reschedule. And the person that was taking us was like, hey, man, have you ever heard of Uncle John's Band? And I was like, yeah, the song? You know, he's like, no, the band, they play up in Tampa, right?
Tampa, that's right.
And I was like, no. And he's like, well, they play Skipper's Smokehouse every Thursday, and it's Thursday, let's go. And it was the night of the show. And we went, and just getting to Skipper's and walking into Skipper's for the first time, I was like, this place is so cool. It just has a very cool vibe to it. And then you guys played your first note. And I kind of I was in the restaurant eating, and you started playing, and I stopped eating, and I kind of like looked around, and I was like, huh, these guys are pretty good. And then we went out, and from the moment I went out, I was just floored for the entire set, just floored. And I took a video of you guys. I was going to post it to YouTube, but I didn't for some reason. But I was going to write, like, you guys got to come check this band out. And you guys were so impressive that, I don't know if you remember this, I just walked right backstage, and I walked up to you.
I think I do remember that, yeah.
I said, hey, I have a YouTube channel. It's about guitar and Grateful Dead. And I pointed to you, and I said, you were the best Jerry Garcia I've ever heard in my entire life. And I said, do you think you can do a podcast? And it turns out we kind of live in the same town, which blew my mind because
crazy.
I'm an hour north in Tampa at the time. So here we are, Alan.
Yep.
And I have so many questions for you.
Okay.
And I guess my first question is, how old were you when you first started playing guitar?
Guitar, I was probably around 11 years old. It wasn't my first instrument playing. So
what was your first instrument?
First one would have been piano.
Nice.
And my dad was the one who taught me originally, and I was 3 years old. So
Whoa.
that's going way back.
Oh, so you okay? So you were like genetically programmed at 3 years old to like love music.
I believe so. I got a lot of it from my dad, though. Yeah. He was a jazz piano player.
Oh my god, this all makes sense. Okay, interview is over. Never mind. I understand how it works now.
That's the secret.
That's all right. Everybody, just give up. No kidding. No. Well, okay, so you started playing at 11 years old guitar.
That's right.
And what kind of music got you into guitar?
Well, at the time, I wasn't into a lot of different music other than the classical piano I had been already playing at that age. And I got an acoustic guitar, was actually my first guitar, and decided I want to take guitar lessons.
Right.
And so they teach you basically the acoustic guitar-y kind of stuff when you're first learning.
Which I don't teach, by the way. It's okay.
That's all right. Okay. And I actually had a jazz guitarist teacher that my dad had known as a friend. His name was Ziggy Allen.
Ziggy Allen.
Yes, and this
awesome.
is up on Long Island where I was growing up.
Wait a second, time out.
Yeah.
You grew up on Long Island?
Yes, I did.
Did we talk about this?
Oh, you're from there too?
Yeah, I'm from Long Island as well. Where in Long Island?
Probably the same town.
I'm from Smithtown.
Very close, Belmore.
Belmore. Oh my God, are you kidding me?
This was not planned.
No, we're like cousins. That's so funny. Okay, so you're on Ziggy Allen. Now I'm wondering why I never met Ziggy Allen. But go ahead. Okay, so you're playing guitar 11 years old.
So Ziggy Allen, he would come to the house and he would sit down with the acoustic guitar that still was we were playing on, and he'd just run this maybe 3, 4, 5 minute riff of jazz chops, and I would be really, really impressed by it, but I just wasn't really into jazz that much at the time.
Right.
And I just didn't practice a lot. And after probably a few weeks, he realized that I wasn't practicing in between lessons and said, I think your money might be spent. He said, this is what my daddy said. It's better spent elsewhere. But he's a nice kid, but
but he's not going to make it, bro.
No, jazz guitar, I don't think.
Well, you're kind of better than that than I think now. But continue. So where'd you go from there?
Well, it's a long full circle trip because actually when I was a teenager, I was into the Southern rock a lot, and I had the musical pitch in my, they call perfect pitch to be able to hear something and know what notes you're hearing.
Okay, time out for 1 second. Hold on, stop, everybody. Shh. You have perfect pitch?
Yes.
Let me shake your hand here because I've only met one person. I've only met one other person. You're number 2, and like I mean, everyone right now is probably turning off the podcast in disgust. But I'm telling you, it has paid off for you. So how did you know that you had perfect pitch?
I don't know if it was just something where I can listen to the music on records and I knew what they were playing just after having played it like on the guitar and saying, oh yeah, I know that chord. I know this is an A chord or D chord, whatever. It just sounds just like that. Yeah. And my dad actually did confirm it actually. He that was his thing at a party or event. Really? He had to show me off. It's like,
Alan, come down the stairs.
Like, well, go where you can't see the keys. Here we go. We're going to play one all the way up there and one all the way down there. And I did pretty good with most of the octaves.
Wow. That is like, I mean, I don't get jealous about many things, but I'm jealous at this point. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's great.
So it works, though, to big advantage, obviously, because when you hear or listen to stuff on records, you can pick it up quickly and you know what they're playing. May not know the exact position, but you know about what
you know
playing.
The note, and then wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
honestly, so just like congratulations. So, jazz lessons weren't for you. 11 years old, Southern rock. Were you talking about like Allman Brothers?
Allman Brothers, Marshall Tucker, Charlie Daniels, Leonard Skinner, and anything I can kind of put on the turntable and play along with. I felt it was fun.
And you rather easily picked up these lines from listening then?
Yeah. I spent. I don't know. I mean, your brain's a sponge when you're a kid. You know.
Of course.
I mean, I can remember Elizabeth Reed, that long 20-minute song. I mean, I knew the whole lead, the whole song, in probably a matter of a few hours listening to it.
Wow. Oh my God. I'm gonna pack up and go.
We should play more Allman Brothers too. I know that our band does a little bit of it.
Oh, they do. I'm sure I'd love to hear it.
I like to dust it off a little bit.
Wow. Okay. And so you have perfect pitch. You're playing the stuff.
Right.
When do you get your first electric guitar?
That was a gift when I was about 12, 13 years old. Yeah, it was a birthday present. And
that's when my dad got me my Les Paul. So like which by the way, people listening would know the headstock just snapped off of it 2 weeks ago. But there's a great luthier in Northport that put the whole thing together. It plays better than it ever has. Nice. So so at 13 we both in Long Island got our guitars. So
Exactly.
awesome. And so it was a gift.
It was a gift. It was a Hackstrom 3.
Oh, get out!
Yeah.
I know that. I don't know why I know that guitar. I can picture it.
Cherry red. Had the black pick guard.
Yeah, no, I know exactly the
it.
guitar you're talking about. I'm wondering why. I don't know if I read an article about it. Oh, I know exactly what it is. My dad bought me a book about famous electric guitars through history, and
Okay.
I mean I know that book. I studied there since I was not 5 years old, 13 or 14. So hence that rings a bell. So you had your Hackstrom 3.
That's right.
And you keep. Are you in bands now?
Not quite, except for I'd say a couple of friends that a garage band type of thing.
Yeah.
I had a close friend that played drums, although he played what music I liked at the time too. He liked Hot Tuna, Black Sabbath.
Oh yeah.
And so I think I got my hands on a Big Muff pedal.
Nice. I have one. I have one at my house. And when you're learning and you realize you have perfect pitch, are you practicing saying, man, I don't need lessons because I could figure this stuff out? Like, is that what's your mentality? Did you take lessons afterwards?
Not really. After the attempts with the jazz guitar lessons, there was nothing more for lessons for me really.
Okay.
So it basically was learning on my own.
Amazing.
I did it from books.
Good.
Some later on in life, online material too. But
from Stich Method?
yeah.
No, I'm kidding. No, not at all. You didn't. Yeah, I'm kidding. Selfless plug there. We really probably going to end up talking for about 5 hours, but I got to ask the question right away. Like, do you remember when you first heard the Grateful Dead? Do you remember what?
My first experience, yes, I do.
Okay.
It was high school, but it wasn't the Grateful Dead live. What it was I had a close friend who actually was into the band, and I didn't know the music at all. He said, check this out, because I think it was Blues for Allah had just come out.
Yeah.
So he put Blues for Allah on his turntable, and I just remember it was this side and the other side, and I liked one side better. I had no idea what the hell the other side was.
Yeah, of course. That sounds about right. Right.
And that's, I guess, a natural reaction to if you're into Southern rock and heavy rock, and all of a sudden you're hearing that.
Psychedelia, yeah.
Yeah, so, and I just didn't grab me right away. I said, okay, this is nice. It sounds interesting. And it came full circle when I went to see cover bands is what happened. When I was in senior year high school, I had another friend who wanted to see, you probably know the bands, maybe Timberwolf and Volunteers. Or maybe this is not the same era we're talking about from there.
Yeah.
This was probably 1979.
I was just born.
Yeah, maybe.
I was just born.
Yeah,
so
yeah. So Timberwolf was a band that was kind of like the mimic band of the Donna Keith era, so to speak. They actually had a girl who was singing with them, and they used to play a place called Rum Bottoms in Wantagh, which is pretty close to
Wantagh. Sorry,
yeah.
I haven't thought of these places.
And the Volunteers, they later became, or at least some of the members became Zen Tricksters, and they played in Freeport right track in.
Oh my God, I have stories about Zen Tricksters. We played a festival with them. We actually shared the stage with them. But the first time I heard them, they were playing the SUNY Stony Brook radio show.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I happened to be flipping through my dial, and I heard them. Blew me away. And they're like Zen Tricksters, and I called them back up, and I was 15 or 16, and I was like. And we have Ian from Smithtown. I was like, hey, guys. I'm like, you guys are awesome. Can you play that same song again? Because I want to hear it. And they're like, no. And I was like, okay. And I hung up. And they kind of, afterwards, they were laughing. They were like, who asked to play the same song? And I was like, I do. Because I didn't know what, I just turned the radio. And what I heard was amazing. And I was kind of crushed a little. But anyway, I told them the story live when I met with them. And they were laughing because they remembered it. But anyway, so they became the Zen Tricksters.
Okay.
And you would watch the Zen Tricksters?
Well, it was Volunteers at the time.
Volunteers,
and they
right.
didn't have a keyboard player, as I recall, when I saw them. They were kind of like the older Dead version with no keys, but they filled up the sound real well. And they were kind of more the late 60s, early 70s style music at the time. And I remember seeing Timberwolf, as I mentioned, also several times, and it was like I just fell in love with the music. And I just said, this doesn't sound like what the records sound like. I said, how could this be?
Right, how could this be? And I had the same kind of thing because people are going to scoff at this, but I got into Fish before I got into Grateful Dead, and I fell in love with the composition of Trey Anastasio's musical lines. And when I went to my first show, which was at Madison Square Garden, what blew me away was the sound coming out of the stage, but the four guys were standing totally still. And I was like, This doesn't. My brain is not computing this because they should be rocking like you see on MTV, and the sound and blew my mind, and I was hooked from there. And then you get into the Dead, and you realize, well, okay, Jerry did it first. He just stood there, and but I know what it's like to hear something live, and I do get a lot of guff on my channel for liking Phish, and I'm like, no, just go see a concert live, like go to a live concert, because I think that's the best a venue to see any sort of music, because they're freer to do it. The freedom on stage to experiment, and trust me, I know you guys do, is what I think impresses people the most. All right, so now I'm talking too much, and this is all about you.
That's okay. I'm enjoying your stories too.
My stories are lame. All right, so these bands influence you. And
Yes.
you start like researching the Dead and getting into them?
Well, sort of what happened was let's see, I went to college. The first year I went to college was 77 fall, and I went to Binghamton.
Oh, nice.
And lo and behold, I did not see that show. I don't know how it happened with knowing friends that knew the Dead, that nobody ever told me or offered me tickets or whatever. But I remember there was a November show at 77, and it was a really good show, actually, as a matter of fact. I was like, just came out, I think, on this is the show I missed. Oh, damn.
Yeah, I was sleeping next door. That's so funny.
Where was I? What was I thinking?
Wow, I'd be upset. Yep. Okay.
But it actually, as it turned out, it was when they came back to Binghamton in 79 was the first time I saw them.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was in May.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Okay.
So I'm going to put you in the mindset. I want to see what it's like. It's the day of the show. You're going to go see the Grateful Dead. This is a band you've been studying for X amount of years. You're excited.
Yes.
Okay. You get to the venue. Do you want to get as close as possible, or are you just going to try and hang out and back? Like, what's your mental space?
I think the nature of it was back then. I'm pretty sure it was floor at the Broome County Arena. So I did want to get closer, but it was not possible. It was just that a lot of people there was. But I was close enough to kind of make out faces at least somewhat.
Of course, yeah.
And I enjoyed the show. I must have really enjoyed it because I swore till almost this day that I saw Donna, and Donna was not with the band.
So you had a religious
So I must have been having a really good time. Yeah, Donna was there, but she wasn't.
You had a very good time. I was going to ask you for any walkaways, but that's the walkaway right there.
Yes.
That's okay. So you see them for the first time. How many times do you see them total?
Probably between not as much as you would think, but probably about 12 to 15 times, I think. Yeah,
that's a good amount of time.
It kind of came in like groups of years, pretty much, because I was in college, so I got a chance to see a lot of the shows upstate New York where they were bouncing town to town. I kind of saw them in Ithaca a couple of times.
Nice.
The Cornell Barton Hall was 80 and 81 I saw. I did not see the 77.
I was going to say,
didn't see the famous one.
That's a great show.
But,
wow.
Now, the 80s show in Barton Hall, I got up real close. In between sets. Barton Hall is just like an army barracks. It's got a huge wide open floor with some bleachers on the side, basically. And they sold probably 5,000-6,000 tickets, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So while everybody else was kind of wandering around between sets, I just beelined right up to the stage. And I got to see right up close, which was great.
I'm going to ask you about that. I had a chance. Again, this isn't about Phish. I'm just sharing the experience. Phish had a summer festival in Oswego, and I was in college. It was a summer, and we went there, and it was 110 degrees. It was on an old Air Force base. It was hot. And we got to the front, and we got to the front of the gate. They opened the gates, and I beelined it, and I was in the front row. And this is I don't know, my 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th show, something like that. And it was the first time I was like 7 feet away from Trey, and having them be right there, you're just going, oh my, I can see your follicles of hair, I can see your fingernails, and it's almost like a religious experience. And when you had your eyes on Jerry or Bob, wherever, I know that you're listening to the music, but there are thoughts like, oh my God, I'm this close to Jerry Garcia at the point. I mean, that's going through your head, right? Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was. I will say it was a very different experience. Back in those days, it was kind of like a nice thing when people brought their little chemicals.
Of course. I think everyone's waiting for us to talk about that.
All I remember was it was before the show. We went to get some pizza in town or something, and I'm walking back. We're walking back to go to the show actually, and we basically dropped some. It was Microdot or something, or Sunshine or something, and I just saw people with these hats on with like creature faces on them, and I just started cracking up. I realized, okay, this is something different.
Yeah. And I love it.
The costumery. So by the time I was like there up front close to the stage, second set, they opened up with Shakedown. I remember that.
Oh, nice.
And And the Steal Your Face backdrop, the bolt was like bouncing off the back at me, right to the beat of the Phil bombs, and Jerry's just going to town. I was like, oh my God, this is nothing better than this.
That's amazing. You just said something, and just a quick sidetrack. I went to the Wani Music Festival, and Phil Lesh and the Terrapin Family Band were there. And what impressed me the most about them was, they had to have a conversation with the sound guy, or they brought their own sound guy, because the bass, obviously for his band, was 10 times stronger. It wasn't overbearing, but it hit you.
Yes, you felt it.
You felt it, and I loved it so much. Every other band, the bass was distant. But like Phil Lesh, of course, I get it. He's the bass player, but he makes shit sure that you're going to feel that bass.
Yes.
And I felt it, and I really liked them. So, the Terrapin Family Band gets my vote for something that still resembles a lot of the Dead. Their music, I think, is better, in my opinion, than Dead & Company. But I might edit that out. But I think they've got it. But back to you. But anyway, just the Phil Lesh bombs. I love the Phil Lesh bombs. Like, I was just like, this is the best moment ever. He's nailing it. So, okay.
Yes. So this was very inspiring, obviously, to me, and knowing how much I love to play music. It was right around the same time, I'd say, third year of college. I wanted to play the music, I tried to find people. So what I did manage to find was through the grapevine. I don't remember how we contacted each other, but it was a guy who was heavily into the Beatles, as it turned out.
Get out.
A guitarist who actually had a Les Paul and was a dead ringer for the vocals and everything.
Wow.
And we had a bass player who can just about do anything. And we managed to meld Beatles and Grateful Dead somehow as the main gist of what we did. I mean, we did some other stuff. We brought in a keyboard player. He liked the Doors, and we started doing all this cool stuff.
So we were like a 60s revival. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And did you ever play like segues from Beatles into the Dead, or Dead? Like, did you ever do that?
Well,
jam?
the way actually we did it was we made the Beatles set the first set.
Oh, nice.
And then everybody would be smoking up in between and coming back for the Grateful Dead set. Always how we did it.
Oh, so you're smart. You know how to retain an audience.
We had a routine.
That's fantastic. And what year was that around?
This was 1980 around, I'd say, right around.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, about 1980.
And what year did Uncle John's band start?
Okay, that's fast forward. Actually,
we're gonna come back.
That's okay. Yeah, Orion was the name of the band in Binghamton. Orion. That was like I said, 1980 or so. Now, Uncle John's band wasn't initially Uncle John's band.
Okay.
When I came down to Florida, which I first moved down here in 91.
Okay.
I believe Ugly Rumors was the first formation of that band that started back in 89, but I didn't know about them.
Right.
I kind of stumbled into them, and that happened in 1993.
Okay.
What happened was I was going to see a band called Dead Ringers, which was a tribute out of San Francisco.
That makes sense. Yep.
They were advertised playing down at Club Detroit, which was where the Ringside Cafe is. It used to be called Club Detroit, as part of Janice Landing.
Oh yeah.
So I decided to go up there to see them, and I never saw Dead Ringers. Would never know what they look like or what they sound like.
Right.
So I happened to walk into the bar, but it was the Ugly Rumors band who was warming them up.
Oh.
And I thought they were the Dead Ringers. So they took a set break. They went up to the bar, and I just kind of went up there, and I started talking to the bass player, and I said, I like your sound. I said, where are you guys all based from? I figured they were going to say parts of California. And he said, right here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Surprise.
Okay, wow. So you must have lit up. That's funny. It's like our... Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, so I said, wow, this music is alive here, like right under my nose. So I started talking to them more, as I realized that, and the guitarist that was playing with them wasn't going to be able to make a gig during the week because I had discussed the fact that I was into the band.
This is like the Pete Best. Yes. This is like my God, that's so funny.
This is the connection how it all started. Yes.
I'm going to pause you for 1 second. I want to get no, don't be sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I want to hear that, but before we get into it, I have a question that's really on my mind, and I hope that's on my listeners' mind. I'm sitting in front of a person who. You've been playing guitar for several years. You have perfect pitch. You are a dead ringer on stage for Jerry, and I'm not talking like you're not copying him. You're channeling his vibe. Okay. You really are. I mean, like I enjoyed it so much, from the tone to the energy to everything. You like Leonard Skinner. You like the Allman Brothers. What was it when you were studying Jerry? Just like we don't talk about theory or anything, you know. On my channel, I talk about the theory behind it, but like, were there certain moves, certain like intervals, or certain things that he did where you're like, this is like mouth-watering? Were there any riffs or in particular that you were in love with while you're learning Dead songs?
While I'm learning them, a lot of what he does, it presents itself in a way where he's leading you someplace and you're not quite sure where it is. And sometimes it hits where you know it is, and sometimes it doesn't, and it could be delayed a beat or in a different way where he slurs the note into the note you're expecting. Well, it's the lack of expectation and the suspense and the surprise of it. I think when he's playing, to me, that kind of like strikes me. I think
you're absolutely right. You know, like you know what, and I'm glad we had this conversation because you have that in your playing, and it's awesome because I never thought about that. And now all of the Stich Method guitar players out there, like, you know, from the man himself, like, here you are, and you know, and you really start to enjoy the fact that he can build a story, and it doesn't sound like he's struggling. That's the most important thing. And he's authoritative, and you have no idea where he's going to go. And when he gets there, you're like, yes. And sometimes he gets there in these weird ways, and you focused on that in your playing, right?
Yes.
Okay, because it shows, and that's something I honestly, like, I'm so glad we're having this conversation because now I'm going to sit and listen and be like, that's what Alan's talking about, you know. But it's true. You know, I was listening on the way here. I was listening to Sirius Radio, and they had the Jerry Garcia band's. I don't know. You probably know what year it was, but it was after midnight. But they did Eleanor Rigby in it, and he must have been, I don't know what he was on, but he was playing, you know, super fast the entire time, and he was taking me on that journey, and he didn't know where it was going to end. And when it did, I'm like, Jerry, God, Jerry, you're awesome. You're so awesome. And we're going to hop right back into the formation of Uncle John's band, but I'm going to ask you this question because I hope I'm not the only one, but Jerry Garcia, like, was really fast, right? I mean, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you look back in the early 80s, they were ripping these songs off at tempos that were incredible.
God. I listened to it, and I'm like, I have no idea how he can maintain that you're going down the train tracks, you know, and he's picking. He's not pulling off.
No.
He's picking. And anyway, so it's really impressive. Okay, so now I had to ask that because obviously you had that in the bank before you stepped in and met the other guys, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now you have that love for Jerry Garcia's I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but he takes you on a story, you don't know where you want to go.
Right.
Okay, so now we're going to go back to the story. You need to fill in for a guitar player. And take it from there. So what happens?
So they said it was going to be a Tuesday night gig, and I had a day job, and I was like thinking to myself, well, I really, really want to play. So 3-4 hours sleep will be fine.
Of course.
And it happened to be a place that was right down the block, coincidentally, from Skipper's, as it turns out. Yeah, it's not there anymore. It was called the Zoo.
Oh, wow.
So I went out to play with them, and it just clicked. I mean, obviously, they knew the music real well. I knew the music real well. We just did not need to rehearse any, obviously. It was just the jams and the improvisation just all happened together. So I got kind of taken aboard as a, quote, extra guitarist. The other gentleman's name was Seth, and he was playing with them. And Seth couldn't make all the gigs, as it turned out, so I ended up popping in and playing with them on a pretty regular basis.
And how many of those members are now? Is everyone from Uncle John's band now? Or?
No, originally, again, that was Ugly Rumors.
Ugly Rumors,
and Mike was a bass player, and then he had two brothers. One was Bob. There's Mike Edwards. There's Bob Edwards, who was also in the band. He was a acoustic guitar mainly kind of player, and he's a great singer. He sung a lot of the Bob Weir tunes. And then his brother Tim Edwards also was a guitarist. So for a while it was the Edwards brothers and me.
And Alan. That's great. So do you have the creeping suspicion that when you shook hands that had a great night and you left, that they all looked at each other and went, oh my God, we have to have that guy in our band? Like, I mean, that's how it went down, right?
I think we all felt that way. This is too good to like let it go away.
And you realize that's like a movie, right? I mean, like they should have been cameras there. Like that's where it started. All right, and so now, and that, what year was that around?
This was in '93 when I first played with them, and actually in '94. I believe the Thursday night band was Web Feet at Skipper's Smokehouse back at that time.
Okay.
And another band was in formation, or about to form anyway, which was the Estimated Band.
Okay.
And they were friends, actually, of Mike Ivers and all the brothers, too. So we were actually one big happy family back then with musical players interchanged. And so they started to play at Skipper SmokeHouse on Thursday nights back in 94, I believe it was.
Wow.
And we had a keyboard player who actually plays with Crazy Fingers on the other side of Florida.
Oh, get out.
Yes, that was Josh Foster. And he was a great player. And actually, we had a chance to just do little duos together. You know, from the times we got together, and we made some great recordings, just, you know, keyboards and guitar. And it was fun playing with him. And he eventually moved away. And what happened was I started, like, playing at Skipper's to fill in as a keyboard player as things loosened up with Josh being there. And that didn't go over too well with Mike, because I was double timing a little bit with the other band. And what happened was I was playing guitar on some nights with them and playing keyboards other nights, because I'm, you know, that was my nature. Just any way I could play, I just enjoyed the music. So a little bit of falling out on the Ugly Rumors side, but they did have the timely arrival of another guitarist who actually plays in a cover band, who moved to the area. This guy is playing now in Massachusetts, or he still plays, and Playing Dead is the name of the band, Victor D. Robertus.
Playing Dead in Massachusetts. Yes. Go see him if you live there. Okay.
Yes, Victor D. Robertus, and he's a left-handed guitarist, as a matter of fact.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so he was the part of the original Uncle John's band when they broke away from the Ugly Rumors. They decided to give themselves a different name.
Oh, okay.
And then Rich Whiteley, who's or Bob Weir, you know, main vocalist, the player with Uncle John's band. Actually, we had another band.
Oh my God!
Yes, I know, this is a full circle.
Yeah.
With Victor D. Robertus, who I mentioned, who was the guitarist with Uncle John's band, where he and I switched off with bass guitar and lead guitar. We called ourselves Box of Rain.
Oh, yeah.
And Rich Whiteley was the guitarist at that time with us then.
And you had a day job this entire time, too.
Yes, amazingly. I don't know how that worked, but...
Amazing.
And this was all 96, 97, where it's kind of getting a little mixed up a little bit with different players playing in different band arrangements and so forth.
Okay, so it's kind of like a galaxy being born. The stars are moving around, and all of a sudden there's going to be gravity.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you, actually I'm going to pause for a second, because I don't know if everyone listening understands this. Your upcoming show, it's May 31st, is that? Okay.
That's correct, yeah.
It's not your 1,000th time playing.
No.
It's your 1,000th show at Skipper's.
That's right.
I want to say that again. It's their 1,000th show at Skipper's. You've played many, many, many more shows.
Yes.
So I got to tell you something. It's like, I don't know, how many times can you do something and not suck at it? You've done it. You're going to do it 1,000th time on May 31st.
It's crazy.
Go see this band, because I'm sure after 200 times you guys were amazing, and you guys are so tight. And I'm very excited. So I just want to put that out there, that this isn't like, oh, it's our 1,000th show. It's at this one place. And by the way, how much does it cost to get into this show?
The big price of zero.
Zero, and that's the way it's always been. And I actually did not know that when I first saw you. I walked in and there was a person who was just chilling at the booth that the person usually takes money, and I stopped and I was like, "How much is it?" And they're like, "No, it's free." And I was like, "What?" And you know, if it was me, I'd be like, "Oh, it's $20," and grab $20 and walked out. No, but you know, it was free. It blew my mind. And you do that all the time. You do pass around a donation bucket, and if you go there, put the money in there, because you guys are amazing. So again, this is their 1,000th show at Skipper's. All right, so now back on the time train.
That's fine. Yeah.
All right, so that's early 90s.
Yeah, this is mid 90s now. We're moving into 97 is when Uncle John's band. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. 95, 96 when it was Uncle John's band first formed.
Yep.
Okay, and then 97 it was Box of Rain with me and Rich, and then Uncle John's band finally melded together in 97. With Rich and I coming over from Box of Rain back into the group as Victor moved up to Massachusetts.
Oh, wow. I mean, so there was a lot of moving and shaking.
Yeah, exactly.
How was your mental space during that time? Were you like, oh my God, like what's happening with our band? Or were you just happy to be playing and
it was a little, there was some tension because there was some competition going on with gigs and places, and Skipper Smokehouse, everybody knew that was the hot gig, you know. They play there every Thursday, so there was some, you know, hurt feelings about, you know, playing with other bands and here and there, but it managed to work its way out, you know.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, we were friends longer than it was worth trying to, you know, make anything out of it. So.
Oh, that's great.
So.
Okay. Man, I mean, what a history! Just, I mean, in a Grateful Dead cover band, which again, you guys are amazing. It's just amazing to hear the history of that. That's the story of, like, you know, there's a Queen movie coming out. I feel like that should be the plot of it, like all the changing of the bands. When you guys have a story behind you of how you formed. I want to ask you a question about the inner workings of Uncle John's band, if that's okay.
Sure.
I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, when I saw you for the first time, I play guitar. I teach a lot of lead guitar, so I was honed in on you. You know, and I make this joke that, you know, when anybody goes to a Grateful Dead cover band, they're only as good as their Jerry. And that's the truth. And you, I mean, you blew the roof off that concept. I was like, there's nobody doing this. You know, it was amazing. When did you guys, and I don't even know if this happened, but in my head it happened in your history, which is, when did you guys sit together and say, you know what? We're really good, and we want to get better. Did you guys ever sit down and talk about, like, Rich, you're Bobby, right? Did you guys ever sit down and, like, study Bobby's stuff or study the two drummer stuff harder and deeper after you guys were like had momentum of playing skippers and starting to go, or did you guys just, hey, we're just gonna keep on playing, and you just naturally got tighter?
I think it's more of the naturally getting tighter.
Amazing.
More so, yeah. I mean, we do commemorative shows every once in a while.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you may have seen me with a few different types of guitars, but
yes.
I have a lot of mimic guitars of Jerry's, and they represent the different eras. And I like that, because for me, I want to choose to pick and choose sometimes how I feel like playing, you know, if I could do the songs that way. And sometimes we are spontaneous like the Grateful Dead are, so we don't have set lists generally.
Oh, you don't?
Other than the commemorative shows.
Oh,
yes.
so who decides? Yeah. who starts a song? Like just all of a sudden two people start the song, you look at each other, like, you take it? Does that happen?
Well, it's generally the people who sing the songs, but mostly actually it's Mike Edwards and Rich Whiteley do most of the song selection.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so...
Now I'm going to ask you another question. Now we're into the workings of the Dead, and the reason I got to say this is I'm not trying to use you as a vessel to understand Jerry Garcia's stuff. I think that you're an amazing guitar player on your own right, and the band that you have is like I said, you close your eyes, and it's a true replica. And I just want to talk about Richard, Bobby.
Okay.
A lot of people on my channel are asking me to do an In the Mind of Bob Weir. And I have a lot of stuff that I can do it on, and I have his style of playing down. And it seems to me I describe Bob Weir's playing as a drunken piano player, someone who's really loose and very rarely doesn't really, like, when he's jamming, doesn't he's not on the eighths. He's boom, gada, whatever, you know, right. Kind of like a lounge singer at a sushi bar. But is that how Rich attacks it?
Rich, there's some signature licks that Bobby plays, yep. and he's all over it. You know, when we need those licks for certain songs. Certainly, when Jerry and Bobby play off each other on a lot of those songs, you know, for certain parts. I'm just thinking off the top of my head things like the Cassidy little riffs or Let It Grow, you know, in the interchanges. There's some stuff that, because Rich sings also a lot of the Jerry stuff,
yes,
it's sometimes technically very hard to play the Bobby stuff. So what happens is he gets into more of the strum pattern mode, or what Jerry might do there. And so we've become accustomed to where he does those things, and I've kind of learned to cross over.
To adjust. And
so I just jump over to the Bobby parts if there's parts that I want to do that.
And again, I think maybe that's just shows in your playing, because there wasn't a part in any of your playing when I saw you that I was like, well, no. I mean, it was on the entire time. Mm-hmm. On the entire time, and the fact that you know how to, counterbalance each other's moves, it just really shows. And so you've been playing now with Uncle John's bands. Well, I mean, this formation of Uncle John's band now for what, 30 years? Is it?
It's been 97 would be 21 years.
Yeah, I'm not a math. Well, no, actually, I was pretty good at math, but I just did that quickly. I actually have pretty good. Oh, God. Okay, so I want to ask you, how many times in all those shows did you play a jam or something where you, like, when the song ended, you were just like, that was amazing? Does that happen a lot to you?
It does. It's happening more and more recently, too, which is a nice thing. Yeah, because considering as long as it's been, and to have that feeling over a song that you probably played like, several hundred times, it's a great feeling when it happens.
That's amazing. Have any of you ever met the members of the Dead at all, or the remaining members?
Not the remaining members. For myself, Vince Welnick we had played with at one
cool.
point.
Yeah.
Actually, Merle Saunders, he had been at Skipper's one time we met and we played with him.
Oh, but that's really cool. I mean, like, that's some history that when you play with them.
It
So
is,
what is one of your absolute favorite songs to play? Like, that you look forward to, that you hope that Richard starts? You know, like...
Yeah. Well, I've always had the affection toward Help Slip on the
Oh, God, how could
Help
you
on the
not?
Way, Slip Not. Yeah, I really love that song. I love the places it goes.
Yeah.
It is. There's plenty of places that draw out the jams and
Wow, so Help
leave it
Slip
wide
Not.
open. So Help Slip Not is one. We have not done it as often as I'd like,
Mm-hmm.
but it's going to come back into the fold. There's some stuff that what happens is if we haven't played it for several weeks or a
Right.
few months, people are a little on edge because of, there's certain
some timing
counts
tricks in
out,
that,
timing
yeah.
issues. There's different versions of it also. That's the other thing.
Are there? I'm
Yes.
convinced there are. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I swear. I'm so happy you said that because in some counts and stuff, I'm like, that wasn't as long as I thought it would be, this part. And so have you guys have a staple
Yeah,
way?
they throw in drop beats in places like when they go da 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 da, and then sometimes it counts off, and sometimes there's a 1 beat delay, then it goes da 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 da.
Yeah.
And we used to do the one more often from the was it from the vault? I think it was
Oh, wow.
one or two from the vault. I forget which show that was.
Wow.
We've done the one from. I'm gonna say there was a show in Florida, one of the early Dick's picks. I forget which one that is.
Oh my God! It's the red and black cover. 70.
Yeah, it's like one of the
77.
early, it's one of the early picks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It's
is it Lakeland? No, it was Lakeland. No.
Oh, come on.
It's,
I know.
I can't think
the
of it.
Franklin's Tower in that is incredible.
Yeah.
How come I can't? I'm not gonna look. I'm like looking it up on my phone.
We've done
right now.
that version.
Oh, wow.
I've done later years versions actually playing, sitting in with guys in Arizona, where I was a few years playing with them.
Okay,
too.
yeah. So wait, did you leave Uncle John's band?
I
for
did
a
for a
bit?
few years, yeah. For day job reasons, I was over in Arizona in Tucson, but the band was in Tempe, Arizona, not too far a drive. So I managed to hook up with two bands out there. The Noodles and Extra Ticket is the one I played a little more often with, yeah.
Okay, hold on. So this is incredible.
Extra Ticket is like the 80s version band, which is kind of like,
Oh, cool.
I kind of like that kind of feel too sometimes. It's
I would
fun
have
to
loved
do.
that. I want to hear if after we leave. If you have any of that music, I'd love to hear it. All right, so now I'm putting myself in the role of like a band member of Uncle John's band and those bands. So you leave Uncle John's band for a little bit. I'm sure the band is crushed because they're like, Alan's leaving. Like Alan, oh man, he's the best.
Yes
thing.
and no. They had somebody who was a pretty good guitarist too, but different style.
Different style.
Yeah.
But he's not there anymore. So now,
Yes.
and then you go to Arizona and you're in two bands, and then you decide to come back to Florida.
Right. I made a few trips in to play with them.
Nice.
A couple of times a year, kind of thing. So, which was nice. In fact, I left my half my recording gear here, and I had to have some of my speakers amps. I ended up buying like double things because to have it out there and here was just kind of crazy.
You had a reason to
I
come
had to
back.
have a rig to come back to.
Oh,
yeah.
that's good. That's good. And you left the band in Arizona, and you're like, listen, and I'm sure they were upset because here's a guitar player who's awesome, has perfect pitch, can probably play anything they hear, and they're like, no.
Yeah.
And then you go back.
And they had just lost Dave Abear actually as I was leaving too. Yeah, because that was Dave Abear moved on to Melvin Seals and JGB.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this is crazy. I know the story just thickens.
I mean, do you look back and think about these stories and go, oh my God, the whirlwind of people?
Yeah, it's a small world. It's kind of the way you find out, who's playing with who. It kind of like
That's so cool.
It opens your eyes. So and I remember the day Dave Abear actually contacted me because he actually went to St. Louis to audition, and he was auditioning originally as the backup for whoever was playing with Melvin at the time.
Really?
And they were going to pay him a salary, decent salary for being just a backup, ready to go kind of thing. And then it just happened. He landed it, and he called me. He said, look, if you want to be able to play with Extra Ticket, I'll let you know. I'm going to be leaving. I'm going to be playing with the JGB. And it was like 2 weeks after I had signed off to come back to Florida. So the guys in Arizona, they got double dealt, unfortunately. But he comes back and plays with them from Colorado.
And they're still playing?
And they do play. Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah,
That's so nice
Dave
to hear.
Abear likes to come back and play too. So we had played together a couple of times when I was out there. He's a good player. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Now, man, the history of you and this band and. Really, I just can't believe it. I'm like tired. They're just like, in a good way. I'm like, man, that's a lot of stuff that's been happening.
Yeah.
Now, let's get into I guess I want to start like in like 2000s. You're back here in Florida in 2000?
2000, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
What to rehearse? Like, how often do you rehearse with Uncle John's band in that era?
Zero. Yep, same as the price of admission.
Are you kidding me? So you guys had just
we never practiced. We never rehearsed.
Do you rehearse now?
I'll take that back. There were a couple of times we had to, because there was just some things that just we felt we had to. One of the times was we did Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's okay.
And I jumped over the keyboards actually to do this. John Zias was actually playing guitar with them at the time, and he was the one who was going to handle the guitar work. But we ended up doing a special Dark Side of the Moon edition at Skipper's. And so it was one of the things, they actually got together and practiced a few times, and I was coming into town from Arizona to kind of double up keyboards with Art Nelson, and so we did get together once or twice for that. But the Grateful Dead stuff, almost nil. I mean, I'm trying to remember even if Unbroken Chain was one we even wanted to rehearse. It might have been once or twice we got together to rehearse something that was maybe a little more complicated. So do you guys just get on the phones? Okay, we're gonna play this song, and just know your parts, and we'll get together and do it. Pretty much. We would say, like, if there's a question about which version, everybody would know which show to listen to basically understand what we were trying to do. Did you ever pull a prank on someone, say, do this version, and then you go, we told them here, watch what happens. It sounded like that, but no, we didn't. So you guys, wow, it must get better and better when you play live. If you guys don't rehearse, and you're walking away now with these feelings of like, wow, we're really doing it, then you guys really, it's a testament to how much time you guys have been playing live, like, on that stage and learning each other's characters. Has the band been the same lineup since you came back from Florida? From 2010, at the end of the year when I came back, it's been pretty much, let me just think a second here. Keep track of a lot of players. I believe so, except for, Art Nelson's on a medical leave right now, but other than that, it's been the same band since. Fantastic. In fact, one of the drummers, Michael Bortzi, he just joined the band, I think, a matter of a couple of weeks before I came back from Florida. Wow. So you guys are considered like the newbies. He was the newbie at the time. Fantastic. And so each set you guys do around like an hour and 10 each set. We try to do it just like the Grateful Dead, at least at Skipper's anyway, where it's really we're supposed to start at 8, but we hardly ever start exactly at 8. Who should start at 8? Yeah, exactly. It's just like no 8:40s or whatever. We wouldn't expect anything different at a Dead concert, right? Exactly. Well, not quite that late, but 10 after, so probably, and then till 9:30, then we break for a half hour, and then we come on and try to do the full 2 hours second set, know, so, and we try to do a drum space just like the real show would be. Fantastic. We mix it up a little bit, I don't know if in recent years Dead and Company are mixing it up that way, first set songs in the second set, vice versa. But we try to, keep people on their toes and surprised that way. Now, now you said Help Slipknot you really enjoy, and this is going to be a very odd statement, and people listening think I'm crazy, but like when I listen to certain songs, no matter what version, there's a color associated with it, like the colors. And I always think of Scarlet Begonia as a purple blue song. Does that make sense to you? Oh, that's interesting. No, no. I think Scarlet is red. But no, it's funny. Obviously, I sound stupid saying that, but just that line, just those lines to me are this blue-purple thing. And so I'm going to ask you a question, like, are there? I know you said Help Slipknot, but are there any songs that? How do I explain this to you? Well, Help Slipknot, we'll say, is on this like tense, darker train path. Like the that's not a happy thing. Those are diminished runs and runs. That's right. And so, which one of their happy songs that you play and you're just like, this is such a great jam? Anything. Eyes of the World gets me. Give me something else. I have a video on Stich Method about Eyes of the World. I actually want to have you watch it, and you'd be like, man, you totally got that wrong. No, but Eyes of the World to me is like beautiful. It is beautiful. And the last Dead and Company show I went to, let's just say, like, I was partaking in several things, and the song started, and I was just like, wait, this isn't happening. Is this happening? Is this Eyes of the World right now? It is. And I started like, it really is. And I was so excited because I do love Eyes of the World. I agree with you. A truly happy song. I think it's a major 7th chord. It is. It's a happy chord. It's just like. I don't mind being wrong in this. Okay. And now everyone's, oh God. Okay. So I don't mind being wrong. When I listen to that song, now you have perfect pitch. Yep. Okay. The jam. Okay. E major 7. Yep. Okay. That's right. Is it to a B minor or a D6?
Do you want me to state my case?
I know which jammers we're talking about. It's B minor is what we usually do.
Okay.
But I hear the D6 in there sometimes too.
Okay, good.
And it depends, I think, where Phil's going with that too.
Yes. Okay, so I'm with you because I say you could hear B minor because B minor and D6 are the same exact chord depending on who puts the root where.
That's right.
It's just me. I know it sounds weird, and you having perfect pitch. I don't know if like my vocab will line up with this, but I don't hear the drop from an E down to the B. I hear this E sliding to the left of the truck.
Yes.
And so to me, my brain says that's the D6.
Yeah.
And a lot of people
I think Jerry hits that D a lot too when he comes down there too.
Okay. You're just saying that because you don't want to make, but thank you. I'll take it.
No.
Yeah.
I now that I hear what you're talking about, I'm
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, you heard it from the best Jerry ever. Jerry's dead, but you're channeling him, so I'll say, okay, well, really it's a halfway because it is the B minor root, but I understand that.
I go modal a little bit into that too.
Yeah, how so?
Yeah, because the D major scale and the B minor scale have commonality that way with relative minor.
Yes.
So I'm thinking in those regards with the D as well when I'm playing it too.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I do too. Like I'm trying to think. For that song, let's see. I start with the E major scale, and when it goes down to the D, I switch over to an A major scale, and which is B Dorian and D Lydian, and that's how I attack it from that point of view. Is that what you do?
That's right.
Oh my God! Yeah! Oh my God! I'm so excited.
That's
this is just I just set up this interview just to see how well I'm analyzing it.
It's the tension of the suspended to the third.
Oh, look at that. Yes, it is. See, you understand that. I was asking the question. Somebody's asking me a question about suspended chords, and I said, well, suspended it means you take the third out, but they always want to come home. Suspended wants to come home, so you got to play with that. And that's so funny you say that. That's excellent. All right, so now here we are, and it's now 2018. You're on your 1,000th show at Skippers again, which is, and I'm sure, like you said, you're excited for it. How many other shows do you play a week, a month? Like, what do you guys do now? Like, besides Skippers, which Skippers is amazing to go to, but do you guys do other stuff?
Sure. Yeah, we do. We book probably an extra 2, sometimes 3 gigs a month on weekends.
Yeah.
And we try to hit St. Pete because, again, Skippers is in Tampa.
Right.
And some of the folks, on a Thursday night, they don't get up there, on a Thursday night to see us. So we like to try to get at least 1, maybe 2 gigs down in St. Pete. We do have a regular Sunday gig at Manatees on the Bay down in Gulfport.
Oh, really?
That's in the afternoon type of thing, yeah.
This is going to be a stupid question. You have a website?
Yes, we do. It is UncleJohnsBand.com.
Go figure.
It is. Yep, no spaces, no hyphens.
No nothing. Okay, so people can see where you're touring.
That's right.
And where's the furthest that you've been asked to go play? Like somebody called you up and say, "Can you come play Colorado?" Have you ever done this? Like something like that?
Sure. Fare thee well.
Oh, yeah? Wait, we did?
Yes.
Where?
Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. Where'd you play at Fare Thee Well?
Right outside the stadium.
Get out!
Yeah.
I did not know this.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God, it's amazing. How'd that go for you?
It went wonderful. We had a great time. It was a thrill. Of course, we landed the opportunity to go see shows. 3 nights there.
So you got tickets. Sorry, you got tickets.
The way it worked, yeah.
I hate you.
Actually, no. They didn't give us the tickets.
Okay.
Actually, it wasn't that good. We could afford the tickets with what they paid us.
Right. So talk to me about this. I had no idea, and I'm very happy we talked about this. Okay?
This is kind of interesting how it happened, but we just got contacted by a major promoter up there.
Yeah.
Who apparently either came across us through the media or I'm not quite sure how. We post a lot of videos and audio stuff, of course, that way
on
too.
YouTube?
Yeah, on YouTube mainly.
Check them out. Okay.
Yeah, in fact, if you search Hippie Girl Anna, just as it sounds, HIPPIE
Girl Anna. Yep.
Yeah, Hippie Girl Anna. Sorry, that's where they usually first appear, and then. We'll load them up from there up to YouTube elsewhere or to Facebook for Uncle John's Band.
Very cool.
But for whatever reasons it happened, this was about a few months before the shows were supposed to happen in the summer, and they asked us if we'd be interested in playing as a pre-event, pre-party event for each show each day.
Get out.
Yeah, no. So it was a crazy thing. We just had we put into the writers, on a contract. We needed compensation for transportation, room stay, whatever. And each day we would play from I think it was around noon till around 4 or 5 o'clock. Give us time to get into the show. And they had hired security to watch our equipment because it was actually right outside the museum, where the.
Whoa.
Soldier Field Museum is.
Yeah.
And they had the big displays on in there with all of the artifacts, from the band. Jerry's guitar was there.
Get out.
And I brought my Tiger copy, and
oh, nice.
And I had to put it right next to the glass case, and I was blown away. I was like, wow, this is a real close copy.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
I was getting asked questions about my guitar while
yeah. You're like, I just actually took this from the back. Thank you.
People coming to the museum, I know. Yeah,
pulled the switch
Jerry had too. I just borrowed this one.
Wow.
But it was a thrilling time there. So we got to play, each day before the show.
That's amazing. I mean, I don't know if you guys get it yet, but I mean, like, how many dead cover bands are there in the United States? There's a lot, and they pick Uncle John's band to come to Fare Thee Well. And like, I want people to realize, like, I'm doing this interview because you blew the socks off of me, and I think that that's why that promoter called you. And if you live anywhere within, let's say, an hour and a half radius of Tampa on Thursdays, or if you're coming to visit Florida, make a plan to come to a Skipper Smokehouse show Thursday nights. They're free, but especially the one next week, the 1000th show. Park someplace, take an Uber, because I think it's gonna be a huge party. And again, that's a true testament that they called you up. Were you thinking there, like, oh my God, are we gonna be able to meet the band? Like, were you like, they called us?
We didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
There was actually, from the promoter, he said it's possible that they were gonna Trixie would be there, and they would be bringing his guitars out, possibly. Like, we didn't know what to expect. They were trying to do originally, actually. We signed the contract, and what happened was the police were going to have a problem with it because they didn't want to create crowds blocking off streets and everything. So we kept our fingers crossed, and it all worked out. We had to switch the sides of the museum we were going to be on.
Of course they did. I mean, half the cops there, I'm sure, are dead fans. I remember. I joke about that, but I remember when I was at a Fish concert, and it was Madison Square Garden, and it was right. We were up way up high, and we tried to work ourselves down, not to get in, but we stood like in the hallway, and there was a security guard, and he kind of like folded his arms and looked at us, and they went into Frankenstein, bom, and this guy's face like lit up and turned around to watch the show, and I was like, this is it. And we just walked right past him. And I was like, yeah, this guy's a fan of, he's a fan of Frankenstein, but it distracted him enough for us to get down. So, of course, those cops there were dead fans. They weren't going to give you any guff. That's absolutely amazing. I'm truly happy for you. And
that was probably a pinnacle for us in terms of what we got to do.
You have pictures, right? You have pictures of this?
Yeah, we do have pictures of that.
Okay, I like to see one. I'm not calling you a liar, but I just want to see. I just want to see it.
Sure.
Well, I mean, thank you so much for spending the time here. I feel like we covered a lot of ground, and if people can't hear my enthusiasm for you and your band, Uncle John's band, then they're insane, because I mean, they should be hearing it coming through these microphones. For everyone, we're probably going to wrap it up here because I don't want to hold you up too much, and I think we had a great time. I don't make it overkill. Yeah, and go look them up on the web, unclejohnsband.com. Get to Skipper Smokehouse. If any of you listening across the world know people in southwestern Florida, get them to come on Thursday night. I'll be there, all right? So, like, in case they don't have a friendly person to talk to, they'll be like, oh, hey, Stich, and I'll be like, hey, I'll have a group of people there if they come. But, Alan, thank you so much. And one quick question before I go, which is I'll probably say 99.9% of the Stich Method subscribers who watch the videos for the Dead, they're learning guitar. And they're in the place where Jerry Garcia amazes them, and it puts them so far away. Now, we already know you have the gift of perfect pitch. Mm-hmm. What advice do you have for people who want to learn Jerry's style?
The best advice I'd have, it would be probably just listening to what he does. You have these software programs now, you can slow things down and listen to it. For him, it's where the spaces or the rests are in the music is what gets me. It's
really?
like, because it's the accents.
Yes.
That's what creates the interest, because anybody can run off a string of 16th notes and whatever without any feel rigid. But the way Jerry will do it, he'll throw the accents in different notes, and he'll drop a note or two and rest.
Right.
And he picks right up, and it's kind of the way improvisation works with jazz, in a way that I think.
It's very free. It's very self-expressive.
And so I think it's the rhythm. You could play the same note repetitiously, not even know a whole scale of what Jerry's doing, but if you could play that note in the way he would play it, with syncopation and rest
and dynamics
and slurs, and you just listen to what he does, and it's really coming from within a little bit when you listen to it.
So just listen, just listen to him. Slow it down.
Just listen to him. Slow it down.
Okay, we're gonna sign off with this. You see me getting close to this.
That's the best advice.
No, that's great advice. Okay, we're gonna sign off with this one question.
Okay.
And I ask everybody this question, and there's no right or wrong. I'm just tallying. As a guitar player who learned on your own, did it. And you are a righty guitar player, so we'll say right hand is on the strings and left hand's on the fretboard.
Yeah.
Which hand is the most important hand on that instrument?
For me, it's the left.
Wow. Okay, I'm a right hand guy.
I'm left-handed.
Oh, you're left.
I'm left-handed, but I play right-handed.
Oh, okay. So you always throw an audible into it. That's amazing. Okay, so that makes sense though, because your left hand wants to play the rhythm, but it's got to focus on the notes.
Right.
Wow.
Well,
go.
But then again, it's the hammers or the bends, the vibratos. I mean, that Stella Blue.
Yeah.
It's like a nitro slur. It's just getting that nice tempo as you slur into it.
Oh,
it's a lot of the. I met John Kay. I didn't mean to drag this
No,
on.
it's okay. This is great.
John Kay, we had a conversation about Jerry playing and everything, and we both agreed it's in the hands.
It's in the hands.
It's in the hands. You could have whatever guitar, instrument, amplifier, whatever.
I agree with you.
But a lot of the expression, it's in the hands, and I find that. It's that left hand, it's how you it's how you bend the note. It's how you create a vibrato, pull off, whatever.
Well, it's so funny. I said we're ending this. Now we're getting to something that I want to talk about more.
Let's talk about a banjo playing. That's the right hand.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, you threw me off. You're left-handed that plays right-handed. So I got to put the answer in a separate bin now. Okay. So
yeah, when you get into the big rivers and stuff like that, you got to have the right hand going.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Jerry does this move, which I haven't even perfected, but it's this I don't even know what it is actually. I don't want to see you get. I know you had it because I remember you were playing Scarlet actually when you did it. It's this like. It's like a double pull off, but one of the fingers is a slide and a pull off, or is it a pull off and a slide? That he does this little.
Oh, the trills or the
something
trill
like
stuff?
if he's going from 14, 13 to 12, really fast. He does this. What is that move?
Yeah, it's basically pull offs.
It's pull-offs.
It's consecutive pull offs of fingers.
It's not a slide and a pull off, huh? It's just a really quick.
It's just a quick pull off.
Beautifully executed pull off.
That's how I do it. Yeah.
Because you do it great because I think that's something that's a staple in his playing. I mean, he does that a lot. And okay, cool. So now I'm going to practice the heck out of that move because I always thought it was a slide and a pull off, and I'm like, okay, it sounds like it, good, I like it, but I've never.
And then just drench it with a lot of short delay.
That's what it is. All right, good. Oh, actually, the last thing, I swear this is the last thing. Your pedal board. What effects are you rocking?
Oh, I got my main duty board, I call it, because it's got everything I could probably need for most gigs on it.
Yeah.
And it's not the typical Jerry pedals on that one in particular.
Yeah.
But I use some Wampler pedals actually for drive. There's a Black 65 that I like the extra tube stage a little bit for the Fender sound. I use the Paisley actually for a little color. The full tone drive. Full drive.
Is the MOSFET one?
It's the MOSFET one.
Oh, we are brothers in MOSFET land.
Yes.
Nice. I love that.
And I
pedal.
like that because it doesn't change tone as much that way.
No, and even the boost, you really just get a boost. You don't get something like sometimes you get a boost pedal and you get something totally different.
Yes.
But that's really cool. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so you have a MOSFET. Okay.
MOSFET. I used to do. I do have original Neutron pedals, which I was using a lot, but they came out with the newer pedals, and now he's got. A small one that runs on 9-volt.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I stuck one of his new Neutron pedals that are the little small version. Not the flexibility of some of the other pedals I have for dialing the envelopes around a little bit, but it works.
It does the job.
Pinch. It does the job.
Right.
Yeah. And interestingly, I have a Wonder Love pedal. If you've ever heard of those.
No, I've not.
I'm trying to remember who manufactures that. It's a purple pedal, and he's got it nailed pretty good.
Really?
And what I like about it, because Jerry's Neutron sounded a little different in the earlier days from the later days.
It did.
In the earlier days, his envelope opened up slowly. It had that wall.
Yeah.
And this pedal will let you adjust that.
Oh, okay.
So you can get the later 80s. I think he went to the quicker envelope.
Yeah, it has a slap.
Because the tempo was up on a lot of the songs. Shakedown, you couldn't have it thing going. Wah, wah.
Yeah.
You had to go. Wah, wah.
Okay. No, that makes total sense.
And then I have let's see, a couple of different digital delays. TC Electronics. I have one of those. I have I forget the green one. It's drawing a blank right now.
Oh, a TC Electronic green pedal?
No, that was the light blue one.
Oh, okay.
That's this common pedal. You see, I forget the name of it.
No,
I don't remember the names of the pedals anymore.
Good. Yeah, well, you know what they do, and that's good.
I use a pitch factor sometimes for Octaver, but I have the original Octaver pedal that that Metron made. I have a nice pedal that mimics the original early '70s pedal that Jerry used.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just drawing blanks on that stuff.
It's okay.
But I forget which was the original pedal he used. It's got a bunch of different pedals you can dial in on the thing, but it was the older, like Europe '72, what he used for a while back then. I got probably 4 different pedal boards that I kind of switch out and go between.
And how often do you switch them out?
I have the Morley Waz for the 1974 era.
Oh, wow.
So I've collected stuff. I have all the Boss pedals Jerry used also.
What?
The overdrives and the turbo overdrives.
So do you travel with all 4 boards?
No.
Okay. You're just like, today I feel like board C. And just put it down as a 74,
I know. This is the drawback of not knowing what era you're going to play because you don't have a set list. And so it's like I'm afraid to get up there with a Travis Bean or a Strat, and then they're going to say, let's do Hell in the Bucket.
You're like, hold on. Oh, wow. Very cool. Okay, so you have this...
But I have all the pedals and the gear. I even have the amps from different eras, too.
Really?
Yeah. So I have the old Fender mod amps. Actually, I have to say it's the Shakedown amps.
Oh, really?
Joe, oh boy, it must be.
Oh, no, it's okay.
My brain's already got it.
That's fine.
Anyway, but Joe, I can't think of his last name offhand right now. Shakedown Amps is the guy. He's built a lot of mods for people.
Yeah.
And the heads I'm using now are to die for.
Really?
I mean, they are really good. I like the SMS preamps also. SMS stuff. That
when I come to the show, do you mind if maybe during set break I can take some videos of it?
Absolutely.
Is that cool?
Yeah, sure. You can check it out.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Just so I can be like, this is what he was talking about. This is the pedal that we couldn't remember. That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. Okay. Well, okay, so now we'll end. I promise.
We got already geared up for gear.
Well, maybe we'll do part 2, and and just let you know if I'm doing this right now on the recording, so you can't get out of it. But hopefully in the future, I would love to have you on the Stich Method, and maybe if you want to give your advice on a certain Dead song and how you play it, because there's several good guitar teachers on YouTube doing the Jerry stuff, and we all have our own take on it. But when I heard you play, I was like, oh, this guy's got it. This guy's got it to a T. And what was so nice, just to let you know, is I think you know this, and I'll end with this, is when you go to a concert, if you're a guitar player who doesn't have perfect pitch, you're always tilting your head and you're always watching the left hand and seeing if you can see the patterns. What is this person doing? But with you, I never did that. It was so pure and so nice to listen to. I didn't want to judge it. I was forced to enjoy it.
Just enjoy it.
Yeah, and it really was amazing. So I'll end with this saying, get your butts out to go see Uncle John's Band. If not on their 1000th show, which is May 31st, whenever you get a chance to do it, you will not be disappointed. You'll love it. And they have a little sand pit. You can take your shoes off and put your toes in the sand, which is where I hung out. So at Skipper's Smokehouse. Listen, Alan, absolutely awesome talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you too, Ian.
Yeah, check them out, unclejohnsband.com, and rock and roll. See you again soon on Stich Method and Company. Bye.